We are flashback. We are in flashback to 1982, where, where Christina won.
Like it was a contest of selling magazines, which I hated. So I sold two, and I actually won the grand prize, which was a what's it? 5 pound candy bar,
Chocolate.
candy bar.
Yes.
And I was asked to share it with the leader that sold like 100 magazines, and I said no. I had bigger plans. So
So she brought it home, and I was her roommate.
So what we would do after lights are out, we would get a flashlight, and we had a little pocket knife, and we would get under the cover and
Put it in the bed.
carve away
Carve away as we
5
ate
pound
this chocolate
candy
candy bar. And then Mama would tell us to be quiet because we would be laughing. And we would say, "Okay, we're asleep."
We would cover up.
Turn the flashlight off.
It was one of our great moments.
And they didn't know about it until after it was gone. So we did a good job hiding it.
5 pounds of chocolate.
Do I need to bring it up? Is this just me, not me and Johnny? Or is he going to do his own? Okay, he can do his own. Okay. He's busy anyway. I guess the memory I will share is the first and only time I totaled my car. I was driving home kind of late at night and come around a curve. So you slow down around a curve, so it's not like I was speeding, because I wasn't. Just driving, come around a curve, slow down, and it was really dark. It was in the country, and next thing I know, I plow into a cow. Yes, you heard that correctly. A cow, not a deer, a cow, a very big cow. And so I panic, and I'm sitting there in my car. Airbags did not deploy. We should call somebody about that. But anyway, so I'm sitting there in my car, and the cow is still sitting or laying on top of my car. And so I'm listening to the cow move around. The glass is creaking, and really afraid that the thing is going to fall in on me. But it didn't, so we're good. And so the cow rolls off of my car, and I'm still sitting there, and I call Mom, who was at work, and I tell her that I had a wreck and that my car was totaled. And she kept asking me if I was okay, and the only thing that I could get out of my mouth was, my car is totaled. What am I going to do? My car is totaled. And she was like, Kayla, as long as you're okay, everything is fine. And I just couldn't get over the fact that my car was totaled. And so luckily, everything was fine. I was okay. I had a couple little scratches, but I was fine. Didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. I was perfectly taken care of. God was watching over me, and the cow was fine. The cow proceeded to try to run out in front of other cars. I definitely think it was suicidal. We should get it some help. But it was good. Everything turned out to be just fine.
On our honeymoon, we went on a snorkeling trip off of Key West, and it was really choppy out, the waves, and Kayla had sucked in a lot of water. So I'm sitting here trying to help Kayla because she's panicking, close to drowning, I'm thinking. And so she's dragging me down into the water. Meanwhile, we're surrounded by probably 100 jellyfish. I get stung by a jellyfish. Did not feel very good. Well, you're not supposed to drag me. Anyways, so I'm trying to help her, and I get stung by a jellyfish and swallowed a lot of seawater, which saltwater, which made me very sick for the whole rest of the day, throwing up. And
She pee on it?
No, she did not pee on it. Thank God. No way.
It was over the summer. We were at a school, at a college for summer break. I was offered by two other families to go on vacation with them. Instead, Sarah and I ended up going with my parents to the Smoky Mountains. The first full day we were there, my mom was sick, so she stayed at the hotel. We go up to Ober-Gatlinburg. Sarah and I decided, oh, yay, let's ice skate. What a grand idea. Well, they had just resurfaced the ice. We went a couple rounds. I ended up falling, split my head wide open, had to go to the hospital emergency room first day and get stitches. It was a joy.
One of the many adventures me and Kayla and Sarah and Hannah had, we were at Mimi and Paul's house, and we decided we were going to go on a boat ride in Paul's boat that was up on cement blocks. So, of course, Kayla's oldest, so she always led us. So she was in the front, leading the boat. And I think, she's the captain. She likes a title, Captain Kayla. So she was the captain. I think I was in the middle. I think Sarah was in the back. Or Sarah's beside me. Anyway, so we're rowing, and Kayla's telling us what to do. She's telling us what to do. Throw the net over. We're acting like we're catching fish and all this. And then we see waspers is what we called them. So we got really still. I didn't see them. I was too busy talking about something. And Kayla's like, you have to be really, really still or the wasp is going to sting you. I was like, they're not going to sting me. And it stung me on the pinky. And I had a meltdown. I cried and I ran up the hill, which seemed really high at the time. Ran up the hill to Mimi and Paul. I come up there, I had my hand out crying, and Mimi put some kind of concoction on it. It was like meat sauce. Put it on my hand and kissed it, made it better, and I healed up really well, and I'm the way I am today. So thanks, Mimi.
Back when Heather and I were dating, we were taking a trip to Lebanon, going down 231. Suddenly I saw a deer on the side of the road. It was already been hit. It was dead. And so I told Heather to pull over. The reason being is because I saw some antlers on the deer that I could make some knife handles out of. And this is when Heather realized what she was getting into, and she has stuck with me. And so I told Heather to pull over to the side of the road. She turned the lights on bright, which was close to 1 in the morning, and she sat in the car while I cut the antlers off this deer. But I was nice enough to wrap him up in a grocery bag. It's a bit of blood, a bit of fur, a lot of hair. And so, yeah, that's my memory.
I'm good.
Mama said they're 50 to 75.
I can go? Okay, I think it was my sophomore or junior year in high school. Had a few girlfriends over. There was 3 of us. Mom was at work, and we had decided that we would play some Gwen Stefani really loud, and we poured kitchen soap, like you'd wash dishes with, all over the floor, all over the linoleum. And we moved out the kitchen table, we moved out everything out of the kitchen just to do this. And we slid around. We would grab each other and throw each other down. And what the best part of this is that the dish soap never came up off the floor. If you ever got the floor wet, it would suds up really bad. We had poured so much. And we would get the spray hose from the sink. It would start getting dry, and we would grab the spray hose from the sink and start spraying the water all over the kitchen floor. So that was probably the best memory that I had as a child. My mother was very mad because it took months to get all the dish soap off the floor without slipping and falling in the kitchen. There you go.
Thank you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's go from that so people can walk through it. Here we go.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't.
Okay.
Really, I gotta think of something.
Yeah. A cooking disaster, or I like the motorcycle one. Something to do with that.
You talk about how we always try to get your toothpick.
Or your pantry. That's always an interesting story.
I was telling somebody about that the other day. I said, yeah, our grandpa, he started to fall asleep, act like it, and we're all whispering, okay, I'm gonna go to the right. Go to the left, and you jump on, you try to get that toothpick, you need to always open your mouth and
Yeah,
suck a toothpick. That's not as interesting as a motorcycle.
tell something
Yeah,
funny.
why don't you say that? Why don't you sit here with
Oh, talk about the toothpick?
yeah, you do that, yeah.
Gotta keep it close.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So if
we'll
he
let
says
Paul
something-
do it.
If he says something, you gotta keep the mic right on whoever's talking.
Do me tell it for you? Oh, me
Yeah.
It's on.
Just say back when you were little.
Okay, so when we were little, and I still think of this to this day, Pa always eats. Oh, sorry, I gotta look at you. Pa always eats. After he eats, he puts a toothpick in his mouth, and all of us, me, Kayla, Sarah, Kyra, all of us, he would get so sleepy after he'd eat. He'd sit in his lazy boy, and he'd sit there, that toothpick hanging out, and the goal was to get the toothpick from Pa before he woke up. I think we did it one time, and I wish I had it recorded. So we'd lay there. Okay, he's asleep. He's like, we can tell he's nodding off really good. And we would talk to each other. Okay, you go to the left, I'll go to the right. And we'd jump, and we would either sneak up there or just jump up there, and he'd wake up every single time and just suck that toothpick back in his mouth. He would.
We could never get
We could we couldn't. We could never trick him.
And always trying to
Oh,
my toothpick.
and he always had salami. Was it salami? And he'd always have that first seat in the house.
Yeah.
That's Paul's memory.
All right.
That's one of yeah.
Excellent. All about Heather. Narrated
I don't want to be.
commentary about Heather. Very good. That's good. I think that'll do.
Well, it was probably 92. And I'll never forget when I met her.
Oh.
I was walking across the stage. I was 17 years old. I was about to turn 18 in a couple months. So I was graduating, walking across the stage, and I seen this little girl, little pigtails. She's probably, I don't know, 7. I was like, one day, I'm going to hook up with her.
That's weird.
But anyway, that's just the first one that popped up. So
Okay, we were in Florida, in Panama City Beach, and we were gonna go parasailing. And you had to get on a banana boat to get out to the parachute. The guy that was driving the banana boat didn't care if we stayed on the banana boat or not. And Kevin, you had a little strap to hold right between your legs. I look over, and he's got one hand in the air, one hand down, going whee! Like he was riding a horse.
The rodeo.
It was so funny. Sean. Sean.
You already did. Show him again.
Hilarious.
Show him again.
The worst one was I was about 9, 10. My grandma and I might have been a little older. My grandmother and I decided we were going to make cookies, Christmas cookies. And we made about 6 dozen of these Christmas cookies. And we made them and they tasted off. They didn't taste bad. They just tasted kind of off. And we kept baking them differently, adding different toppings and everything, trying to make these cookies taste better. And my aunt's over in the corner eating them, saying, they're fine, they're fine. My dad will eat anything and everything. And the cookie goes in his mouth and comes out of his mouth. And I looked at him, and he goes, how old are these cookies? They're stale. And I'm like, I just made them. They're fresh out of the oven. And he goes, they taste stale. And we went through and looked at the ingredients. The vanilla that we made the cookies with was like 14 years out of date. I don't know why my grandmother had vanilla that was 14 years past the expiration date, but we made homemade, fresh, stale cookies for Christmas that year.
Me and Joey over here are in Florida with, it was you, me, Mom, and Kevin, and Patrick and Gina. And we were just riding along on the ocean on a pontoon boat, and me and Joey decided to sit on the very front of the boat and us being the geniuses that we are, we like to stick our feet in the water when the boat's going full throttle. And we decided to start going across the river. It was river. No, it wasn't. It was a river. It was a river.
You're in Florida. It's the ocean.
Oh, it was across a river to the ocean. Whatever. Jeez.
It's a really big river.
It's a very big river. Anyway.
Back towards yourself.
It's going to go either way.
Anyway.
You're stalling. And as soon as a boat went across in front of us, the waves from the boat hit ours, and we went from barely touching the water with our toes to the water reaching our chest. And the entire the nose of the boat went underwater, and Mom's in the back of the boat holding up her camera, making sure it went down last with the boat. And that's probably my funniest moment.
Holding this little baby finally reminded me of something. When that little girl right there, Kayla, was little, she just loved for me to pick her up, and she would just eat my face up. Well, one day, she got over to my lip, and she sucked on that just like she was sucking on a bottle. And the next day, I had this big black bruise, which my kids called a hickey. Not only did everybody think it was, but they even thought I was being beat up or abused somehow. And that thing lasted for weeks. It would not go down. I tried to put makeup over it. I tried everything, but it was the laughing stock of church and family. So that's my take on what babies can do to you.
My memory goes back a few years. It was me, Heather, Mom, and Mimi went to Outback Steakhouse one day in Lebanon, Tennessee. And we were sitting there and we ordered our food. I wasn't really paying attention to what everybody was getting, but I looked over at Mimi's plate and I saw this orange stuff inside a potato. And I was like, what is that in your potato? Is it pumpkin? And Mimi looked at me and she goes, pumpkin? And I was like, yeah, that stuff. It was a sweet potato. Kyle didn't know what a sweet potato was. Kyle learned what a sweet potato was. Yeah, that was the first. However, on that same trip, I will add that I learned how talented Mimi was when we were driving back. I rode with Mimi back to Lafayette or somewhere. And we were going through Lebanon traffic, and then she decides out of nowhere to start flossing her teeth in the middle of traffic. So she pulls out. We were stopped at a red light for a moment, so she reaches down and pulls out some floss, and then it turns green, and she continues to look into the rearview mirror and floss. And I was like, Mimi? She's like, oh, this car goes straight, so we'll be fine. And I was scared to death. But good times. Good times. Flossing and driving. The multitasking Mimi. Cheers to you.
Probably my best, well, one of the funniest memories that I have of me, my sister, and my padre. It was in the summer. I'm pretty sure it was at Bledsoe because it's the only place we go. And I can remember the campsite, but I forgot what the number. Okay, anyway, we just got this pop-up camper. All right, this thing's a beauty, not really, but we're in it. We set it up, and we stayed in. I forgot, it was just the weekend, and then the day came that we had to leave. And if you don't know a pop-up camper, you have to wind it down. You have to put everything in and you have to wind it down. All right, so my dad is still in the camper pulling everything in while I'm cranking it. Well, when I'm cranking it, something snaps and it falls. couldn't finish it. Edit this out, okay.
Never said anything miraculous yet.
Alright. But when it falls and he's still in there, he lets out this scream. Screams just like a girl. I don't want to, sound like it. It's like, ah! It's exactly what it sounded like when the camper was falling and about to crush him. That's probably the best memory I have with me, my sister, and my dad. If you want to hear more, hit me up and we can talk about it, even though that was the whole story. The end. That was good. I'm done.
One of my funniest memories was one of the times when we went to Florida for the first time with Aunt Christina, Ethan, and Mama and Bubba, and we went out to eat that night, and we come back, and Joey's in the bathroom, and he comes out, tries to come out, and the door handle breaks off. I thought it was Joey. Oh, Ethan was in the bathroom, and Joey went over there to open the door, and the door handle falls off, so there's neither way, none of them can get out. So we had to stay there for a little while and try to put the door handle back on. It was one of the, you had to be there.